your family wants to go out and do activities all day long, and you think you have all kinds of time to train, when in actuality, you do not have.
You get the side eye from your spouse, mate. What, you going out for 3 hours?
You doing what?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Coaches on Couches.
Bean slouches. No non-slouches today. We're just going to slouch it up.
Let me just get back in this couch a little deeper.
Hunker down a little deeper over here. Lay it on back.
Oh, yeah.
Socks are on point today, though.
Socks on point.
I made sure I went home and changed into some brightly colored patterned socks just for the occasion.
This is my normal. I like brightly colored socks.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to wear these even if on the one time a year that I actually dress up.
Mm-hmm.
You can bet that I've got some cycling socks.
Yeah. How many people need to weigh in? How many people wear your endurance style socks as your dress socks? Because I'm the same way.
Bing.
If I got slacks on,
at least two.
I think I own one pair of slacks. But I guarantee you, if I'm going out,
oh yeah,
cycling socks are on.
So today we're going to talk about optimizing winter training. We all know it's a
fun time of year.
It's an awesome time of year.
Cold, drizzly, rainy.
Yeah.
I guess that's drizzly.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second. But first, shout outs.
Oh, I knew it was coming.
My first shout out, actually this is one, I'm delivering this one for Coach Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Anne-Marie Braese and the Arlington cross-country team.
Yep.
Anne-Marie, I think she finished 19th at the state cross-country meet. Keep in mind, she is a freshman.
Yep. And
the Arlington cross-country team finished 4th in the state, which is the highest they've ever finished. So.
And Anne-Marie, she was what, 2nd in the regionals?
I think so, yeah.
Is that what it was?
I think so.
Whatever leading into state was. I think she was second place.
Yeah,
so.
she's
doing great.
They don't come any more dedicated than her.
Yeah.
As far as a youth athlete, she literally, if you give her a task, it will get done.
Mm-hmm.
On the rare occasion, something gets modified.
Yep. No, she's been very dedicated, and consistent, which is one of the themes we're going to be talking about today. Consistency. It's huge. It pays off. And congrats to you, Anne-Marie.
Yeah. And then I'll deliver one for Coach Ben. Coach Ben, Rachel Randall. Rachel's had an awesome season this whole year. She PR'd at Grandma's marathon, ran a 3:13.
Whose grandma was that?
Yo, Grandma?
Was that my grandma? Don't you be talking about my grandma like that.
Grandma's marathon. That's a fast course. And then recently she ran the New York City Marathon and did a 3:22, and that's quite a bit faster than she's ever done there. So
huge.
The hats off, Rachel.
And she always has a smile on her face.
Yeah,
she does it smiling the whole time.
She's one of those infuriating people like Kirsten Sass, who that just never. Always has a smile on her face.
Never looks like they're suffering.
The more painful, the bigger the smile. Yeah. I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they do it. And then Margie Ratliff, I got a shout out to her. She finished her very first half marathon in Moab.
Ooh, nice. On the Red Rock there, huh?
She picked a doozy for her first foray into distance running.
No joke.
It was 4,000 feet of elevation over 13 miles.
At altitude.
Moab's
not low.
And then toward the end of the race, I think it was mile 12 or something, there was literally almost a half a mile long creek crossing. It was ridiculously long, and
that's not a creek.
Yeah, that's a river.
That's no longer a creek.
They were
it's
fording
a half
the
mile
river.
long.
Yeah,
that's like Oregon Trail. Ford the wagon and ford the river.
Yeah, they were. I mean,
shout out to Oregon Trail.
Yeah, shout out Oregon Trail.
That's a great game.
If you ever played Oregon Trail on floppy disk, Shoot us a thumbs up here.
Give us a little thumbs up.
Yeah, and then I'll let you go on with your shout-outs there.
Yeah, we have, Hart Robinson's been filling it up. He won the single speed. His last race for him of the year. He's going to be shutting it down. David Collins, 4th place in the single speed, which was awesome as well. Also at the outdoors. Longest running cyclocross race in the nation.
Yeah,
takes place here in Memphis. So shout out to
for keeping it going,
to Outdoors and Joe over there who does a great job keeping that going. So there are my shout outs.
Awesome. So today we're going to talk about optimizing your winter training.
Yep.
So basically what we're really talking about is how to stay consistent.
Yep. Staying consistent
over the winter.
Staying motivated, keeping yourself accountable. That's the big. It's so easy to fall off the train. We could put the train on there, right? So easy to fall off the wagon, off the training regiment,
whatever.
And getting back into a flow is really hard to do. But if you have goals, setting goals is huge, and consistency. That's the huge factor in progress and success is that consistency. We've talked about it before.
Every time we bring up consistency, I think of the movie Campaign with Zach Galifianakis, and he's like,
I've not seen that.
I hear him saying, consistency is the real C word. I don't know why. Anyways,
I'll have to watch that.
Consistency, hilarious movie. Consistency is the biggest thing. So how do we maximize consistency? We're going to kind of break it down into planning, motivation, accountability, and there's also that little part of convenience in there.
Oh yeah,
convenience. If we can make it convenient.
And helping take out, it seems like there's more variables that happen when you start getting into the wintertime.
Yeah.
Weather can be a huge variable. Like this weekend here in Memphis is going to be 27 degrees going into Saturday, and I'm already hearing from athletes I coach like, oh, can you maybe throw a trainer workout up for me? Yeah. Or I don't think I'll be making the regular group ride. So weather can be a variable. Yep. Lack of extra daylight. Yeah. So evening training can become more difficult, and morning as well. There's those extra variables that you kind of have to work around.
The holidays being
a big
stretch. The holiday stretch.
A variable, but that's something is coming, but it's a thing that can derail training and consistency. So managing all of that is huge.
Yeah, for sure. So first thing, we'll just dive into like the plan aspect of it, planning. So, number one, have a plan.
Oh, exactly.
Some sort of a plan.
And the way when we're coaching an athlete, it all starts with what's your goal. So you need to look to what's happening in this upcoming year that's exciting you. What is something that's exciting enough that you want to train for it and are willing to put in the workouts to get there. So having a goal, and then your plan should sort of work back to now from what that goal is, and what your limiters are. Obviously, we'll dive a little more into that. But
the big thing I think is being because we're talking about less daylight. You're going to be busy with the holidays possibly.
Yep.
A lot of people get super busy at work because we're toward the end of the year. Kids are out of school more. All these things. Yeah. So be totally realistic with the amount of time that you have to train.
Yep.
And a lot of times, just like a little tip here. A lot of times, like if we have somebody doing a big block of training over the winter, we'll use those crazy weeks, the week of Thanksgiving, the week of Christmas, something like that, as their adaptation week. So if you actually take the time to look ahead, you can plan downtime for those weeks.
Oh, for sure.
And plan bigger training loads prior to. And then it doesn't affect your training. It's just part of it. Whereas most people will do the same amount of training or less, and they'll take maybe if they take an easy week, they'll take an easy week, and then all of a sudden they'll hit a holiday week, and then it's another easy week.
Yeah.
And so now they've gone.
Well, and it's really easy to have the best intention in mind. I'm going out of town. I'm gonna have so much time to train.
Yeah.
because I'm going to be out of town. I'm not working.
I hear that one.
Oh, it's going to be so great. But instead you find the eggnog and you're like, whoa, whoa, maybe I don't. Or, your family wants to go out and do activities all day long, and you think you have all kinds of time to train, when in actuality, you do not have.
You get the side eye from your spouse, mate. What, you going out for 3 hours?
You doing what?
Yeah. Now leave me these kids.
Yeah. So being very, and the more years you've been training, probably the more you realize how much you can and cannot get in during a holiday season. I personally know that if I'm going out of town this Thanksgiving, I know that if I take my bike and I'm thinking I'm going to get 2-hour rides in, odds are I'm probably going to get like 3 1-hour rides over the course of a week. So planning around that is something I'm going to do with my own program.
Yeah, for me, when I'm away on a holiday, if I get 2 hours, it's going to be at 5 a.m. before everybody gets up, and it's probably going to be on the trainer.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily, usually when I leave town, I don't have access to a treadmill like I do at home.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to get up and go run in the dark. I know that about myself. I'm not going to go run in the dark.
So that's where being realistic and knowing yourself is huge.
Yeah. So my workouts usually end up being an hour tops, usually 30 minutes, an hour tops. And it's usually going to be in the morning before everybody gets up.
Yeah.
So then you have the rest of the day. So
tying that into consistency, like if you know that you can get 3, you're a multi-sport athlete, you can get, say, 3 1-hour bike trainer workouts in. You could probably sneak in another 2, 45-minute runs. You can sneak in even just body weight strength training easily. So you can stay consistent when you're on vacation, when it is a holiday, or even during any sort of crazy week. You can stay consistent, which is huge. We talked a lot about this last week. 1 hour is a lot better than none. 30 minutes is a lot better than none. So some is always greater than none, and it's just a matter of keeping that consistency going and being realistic and making the most out of the time that you actually have. So that's one of the huge things. But having a goal on the calendar is going to be a lot more motivating to you to get up and do the workouts, versus having no goal. You're like, I'll start my training the 1st of December instead of right now.
I don't have to worry about anything until January.
Let's wait till the new year.
Races don't start until April.
Exactly. So it's so easy to start pushing it 1 week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And then it's easy to do the same, get loose and sloppy with your nutrition. We're going to be talking nutrition on one of the upcoming Coaches on Couches, but the hardest thing that you can do for yourself if you do want to be successful, and I know if you're listening to this, you do, is not only get behind on your training, but also get really sloppy with your nutrition. And so you hit January 1st, you've gone through the winter, or the winter holidays, you've gone through Thanksgiving, and now you're 12 pounds heavier and have lost extra fitness on top of that. And getting 12 pounds off is a lot harder than getting 12 pounds on.
It takes a lot longer.
It takes a lot longer.
Oh, I can put 12 pounds on in a weekend if it's
oh man.
I mean, a holiday weekend.
Yeah, and endurance athletes are typically pretty good at eating plenty.
I like some calories. So like when you're planning your workouts, over the winter months, I mean, this is like the perfect time to like get back to basics. And
for sure.
If you don't have like motivation wise, yes, put a goal on the calendar as soon as possible. Whether it's a goal event for next season, or like what we would call like a training race or a tester event, like with a lot of our runners or triathletes over the winter months, I try to get them to do as many 5 and 10Ks as they can as just kind of fitness assessments, or we might actually choose one to focus on to if we're really if one of their limiters is the run, we'll focus on running over the winter. But get something on the calendar, because that is the number one thing, because you sign your name on that start list, and
if you're competitive,
it's creeping.
If you're competitive, you're gonna have that looming and you'll want to do well. So that'll help keep you motivated to hit the workouts that you wouldn't do otherwise, and prevent you from trying to push it one more week. You can't push it when something's already on the calendar and you've already got a plan for it.
Right. So like when you're building out your own kind of, winter, focus on your limiters.
Mm-hmm.
That's, to me, to a lot of people I coach, that's motivating enough, because we're actually working on something that they're not good at all.
Yeah.
And for most competitive athletes, that's enough. Like to know that you're working on getting better at something.
Yeah.
Enough.
That and technique. I mean, technique may be a limiter for folks, but I think technique is something. I think technique is something that gets so overlooked, especially with cyclists.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because I think people have fallen into this idea that you just mash down on pedals and the bike goes forward. The whole technique aspect of it, even paying attention to. I've just brought a few new clients on board. And each new cyclist that comes on board, we have them run through our technique pedal stroke video that we've done, which is essentially learning which muscle groups should be firing during different phases of the pedal stroke. And each person after they've done it are like, oh, I did not realize how clunky I was when I do a single leg drill.
Yeah, try to do 60 pedal strokes on one leg, and see how that goes.
Exactly. You don't realize how inefficient you are. You don't realize how quad heavy you've become. You don't realize the fact that your glutes probably aren't firing. And this is all stuff that you can improve on. And off season is a great time for it. But trainers doing indoor trainer stuff where you're not worried about the weather, or on a cold day, for example, hop on your trainer or hop on your treadmill, and that allows you to just really focus in on what your body is doing, because you're not worried or distracted about everything else that may be going on, getting hit by a car or something crazy.
Yeah, if we're talking about optimizing winter training, we're also optimizing quality of the training.
Oh, for sure.
And indoor training, although a lot of people hate it, is some really quality training.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and focused training that you will likely not get outside.
Oh yeah, no.
Especially like longer efforts.
And all people really need to do, especially cyclists, all cyclists really need to do is take a look at how much time you spend like in your zone 1, if you've set zones, how much time you spend in zone 1 on a trainer versus how much time you spend in zone 1 when you go out and do a group ride or even a solo ride by yourself. And you're going to be totally shocked to see that doing a group ride, you may spend half your ride doing either very little pedaling or very, maybe you're soft pedaling a ton, but you're not getting the quality pressure on the pedals. You can get a lot out of a shorter session on a trainer because you don't stop pedaling.
Yeah. A side note, like when I look at somebody who does group rides, if we're talking about trying to actually increase their fatigue resistance, like I give them, I want your time spent not pedaling. So looking at cadences of 0 to 10 or 20, to be under 15%.
Yeah.
And most people will start out 30 to 33%.
It's hard.
Time spent not pedaling.
There's another tip. Go out and try that. all you cyclists, triathletes, go out there and pay attention to that, or just look back on previous training sessions. But it's harder than it seems.
Yeah, check out your last few long rides and see how much time you spend not pedaling.
Yep.
And that's just time not gaining that fatigue resistance. You're not putting in the extra TSS or the extra, workload.
Yep.
That was a little bit of a side shot there.
That was
sideways there.
But that highlights the benefit you can get in a shorter period of time on indoor structured stuff. Even with runners, you go for a run, most people live in a more metropolitan style area. You hit lights. You have stuff that pops up that causes you to have to stop, to walk, to pause your training. Whereas on a treadmill, bam, quality the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, one of the biggest things you can do optimizing your winter training is kind of making everything as convenient as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking purchase, get the indoor equipment needed to remove any excuse
Yep.
to do your workouts. Now,
Yep.
it's not all super cheap, but when you look at what what people spend on, somebody's going to drop $2,000 on a set of race wheels,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't want to spend $400 or $500 on a power meter that's going to make their indoor training more efficient, or $200 to $300 on a actual fluid trainer or something like that. That's going to allow them to ride indoors.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's going to allow them to get those 2 sessions that they'd blow off due to the weather.
Right. And I personally, I think any triathlete who doesn't have the time, who's strapped for time,
time crunch,
and can't, just jam to the gym when they need to do a session, in bad weather, should own a treadmill. I mean, realistically, you can get a pretty solid treadmill for $1,200 to $1,400, and it sounds like a lot, but think about.
Do you recommend putting those in your master bedroom?
Yeah,
on your spouse's side, right? For your early morning treadmill sessions.
Yeah, put them in the bedroom. It's really good for your marriage. I mean, it is really good. But I mean, not everybody has room for them or whatever.
Yeah.
But you can get some smaller ones, and you can get But having that treadmill in the house, I have one downstairs, and I had to put it in basically our kids' playroom area.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I want to use it, I got to pull bean bags and teddy bears and stuff off of it. But it has removed any excuse for me to miss a run.
Yep.
There is a treadmill in my house. There is no excuse for me to miss a run ever.
Yep.
Unless I'm not here.
And people that are listening to this, like you know the excuses you make. So what are the excuses you're currently making for not hitting workouts? Yeah. Is it you don't do strength because you don't have time to get to a gym, or you aren't going, what's your excuse? If that's your excuse, buy some dumbbells, buy some resistance bands. I mean, if dumbbells are too expensive, not part of your budget, get some resistance bands, buy a med ball. You can get all that stuff for, under $20-$30.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the whole, that was the whole premise behind when we started the House of Pain Strength class, online class, was making strength, because we know that endurance athletes don't really like doing it, or don't know what to do or whatever. Our goal with that class was to take all the excuses out, maximize the convenience, because it's done online. Like, we see them, they see us, and it's done with minimal equipment, and it's very focused to endurance athletes. So that was like, when we're talking about removing excuses, we could not have done any more to remove excuses to do strength work.
Yep.
And now we have, I don't know what, 30
folks,
30 something athletes who join us to get in their strength work 2 days a week, and they knock it out, and it's done, and they don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
They just show up, have their minimal equipment, turn on the camera, and we're going to town. So any type of a class like that, or an option like that, where you don't have to think about it, hiring a coach, shameless plug, but hiring a coach, any situation.
Because then you aren't thinking about what workout you should be doing. You aren't spending time going, oh, well, tomorrow I guess I should maybe do some sweet spot work. Or and anytime you're your own coach, it's really easy to, guilty as charged, it's really easy to say, well, I'll just adjust what I was going to do tomorrow, and I won't do today. So having that extra accountability and focus that a coach gives you, where you can't really blow it off, but you also don't have to think about it. You just check what today's plan
and then
is.
At the same time,
knock it out.
A coach or a class that has specific goals or something like that, if you get into those programs and that what you're doing relates to your goals.
Oh, yeah.
You're not just picking up I'm going to do this so-called program over the winter months because it was the first one I found that was free online.
Yeah.
That's great and that's fine, but you have to ask yourself, does it align with your goals?
Yeah.
For next season or what you're trying to get out of the winter. So just kind of think about you have to think about what you want to get out of the winter, and then figure out a way to make it as convenient as possible for you to do the workouts, do the work to hit those goals.
Yep. No, definitely.
So the last little portion we'll talk about here is the one thing that pretty much hits everyone, and that's motivation.
Woo!
And that, I mean, it is the number. You can have all of the, all the right workouts. You can have all the, goals and everything planned ahead of time, and you could have the slide greased by having all of your stuff set up.
Yeah. Have
no excuses. Have your bag ready every day, and then when that alarm goes off in the morning, you're and I'm stealing this from a blog that is so weird. Andy just put out Andy, who was here last week, just put a blog out about this very topic, like today.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it was like spot on everything we're talking about here. But he was talking about past, present, and future self, and that's where your motivation lies. And so your present self wants instant gratification and something, so when you hit that snooze button,
you want more sleep.
Instant gratification. You got it. But if you really kind of dial into future self, future self wants to be faster, wants to be stronger, wants to hit goals. So, you kind of have to really conjure up future self when that alarm goes off. And say, okay, do I really want 10 minutes extra sleep, or do I want to knock out this training session and hit the goals that I've set for myself?
Yeah.
This coming season. So,
yeah, that was another quote, that kind of motivational quote here was, and I don't know who first said it, so apologies for whoever first said this for not giving you the proper credit, but it's I will do the things today that others won't, so I can do the things next week, next month that other people can't. So do the things now that are going to put you in a position to be that better person that you want to be. Do the hard stuff. I mean, do the things when something being hard. There's a lot of people that never become the person. Like, forget just training and sport, but there's a lot of people that don't become the person they want to be, because it takes work, whether it's, at work or as a parent or, whatever it may be. Not everything's going to be fun.
I know.
And a lot of times the stuff that's going to benefit you the most, it's right when it's really, really hard and you want to quit, that when you power through that, that's when that success is there. You're like so close to success, but a lot of people give up, once it gets hard. So that's something, like, mentally I tell myself when I'm doing something that I know I need to do, but I don't really want to do, which probably happens like 8 times a day. Like, oh man, I really need to do this, but I really don't want to.
Yeah, like laundry and like...
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Emptying the dishwasher.
Shout out to my wifey. No, but like, you have to tell yourself, like, well, first off, why are you doing it? And then tell yourself, well, yeah, I mean, the fact that it is hard means that probably 90% of the other people around aren't going to do it. So now you're in the top 10% of your class just by doing it. And then if you can power through that and do it to the best of your ability, now you're putting yourself in the top, 3% or better of humans?
Yeah, I mean, the more you can stay intrinsically motivated to do the hard work.
And put yourself, the future self. I mean, I like the way that's phrased. Like, think about where you want to be, and don't get all caught up in how bad it feels or hurts or how tired you are now. You're not going to remember that you were sleepy on a Thursday morning and you really wanted that extra half hour.
Right.
In the middle of the summer when you're at your goal race, you're not going to remember whether or not you like being tired for that extra 30 minutes. I mean, that's going to be gone, but your success.
Yeah. When you hit that goal, you're going to be like, all those days that I got up early, and got out of bed instead of hitting snooze, they were all worth it.
Yep.
So, like, one of the other big things, obviously, is like finding either a good training partner or a group to train with. And this is the kicker here. that has similar goals to you.
Yeah.
If you get in with the wrong person,
like-minded
or
yeah.
group that really are not training for, the end goal that you are,
yeah.
it's not going to work out. It may be a little bit more motivating, but you're going to end up kind of, I don't say wasting the training, but you get in a group that's not pushing you like you should be pushing yourself, or a group that doesn't really care how what the end goal is for you or what the final product is.
You want people that push you to become a better version of yourself, right? Which is like the whole reason we did the whole House of Pain thing, our House of Pain indoor cycling thing. It started in your garage as a group of like-minded people on a team together who were wanting to minimize the excuses that we had not to work out, hold each other highly accountable, run through all of those limiter things that we talked about earlier, maximizing technique, maximizing efficiency, and being able to constantly remind each other of the goals we had, heading into the next season and how we wanted to.
And we're coming up on that. December 4th. If you haven't checked it out, December 4th starts the 9th season of the House of Pain cycling program, and it's
hopcycling.com.
Yeah, hopcycling.com.
Cycling.com.
Yep. We literally, again, when we build a winter program, we are building all of these things into that.
Yep.
So we've removed excuses. We've made it as convenient as possible.
Yeah, that's one of the big things that people who've come to us, we ask at the end of each season, what do you like the most about it? And one of the huge things has always been convenience.
Right.
The bike's on the trainer's at home. All they got to do is get home, hop in their trainer, press play, or join the live session, and there's no excuses there.
We run through all the limiter things, technique, not only pedal stroke technique but body position technique. People come and start the class and can't stay 20 seconds out of the saddle.
Yep.
And then by the time we're worked through the technique portion of the class, we're spending 5, 6, 7, sometimes 10 minutes out of the saddle.
That's the mental adversity training side of things.
And that's the other, that's the other limiter. A lot of people's brain is their limiter, I would say most. And so we do work on what we call mental adversity training. And it helps mental toughness for sure. We've had a number of people say that was one of the biggest parts of the class for them was, having the tools that to use when it got hard, that they could keep pushing and realize they weren't going to die. They could just keep pushing and had the tools to, to keep doing that. So anyways, that was a good little spiel there, but if you want to check it out, it's hopcycling.com. It starts December 4th. We'd love to have you.
And it's been proven. Proven performance.
9 years. Average, what was that? What's the average?
Just over 10%. It's 10.5%.
On the FTP. So if you run power, it's the increase is about 10%, a little over 10%. We have a lot of people that are well over 10%. Sometimes there are outliers in either direction. And some people for whatever reason don't finish all the sessions. So they may not make as big of gains, but the people who finish, 90% or more of the sessions are well over 10% increase.
Yeah, they generally have a good jump. Yeah. I think the big thing there, and this is something any person can create as well. You don't have to be a member of Hop Cycling for this, but create a community of people, whether it's in your own garage, in your own house.
Yep.
Even if you start some people are watching this on Facebook, you can start your own little Facebook group, or join a team, or there's a lot of options you can do. Have a buddy that you both sign up for the same event and hold each other accountable. But just that stuff that helps keep you excited. And sometimes on those days you don't want to do something, all it takes is that push from someone who that day is motivated.
Oh, yeah.
Your not motivated day typically is someone else's motivated day, and it's all it takes is that nudge and them waiting on you, and knowing that they are expecting you to be there, or be online, or, like with the hop cycling, people know that we're going to be online waiting for their smiling faces to show up. And they've said there's been a lot of times I would have skipped it normally, but just that little thing, knowing that someone was either going to check in on you, in the case of hiring a coach, or they're going to be online wanting you to join in the case of hop cycling, or they're going to be expecting you to show up to your house to do that Saturday morning trainer session, or go on that run with them, or whatever it may be. Like, plug yourself in with someone that's like-minded, like Dale already mentioned, that you guys can lift each other up and hold each other accountable.
I think the community aspect goes way beyond like winter training, obviously.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think the little nugget that I'll pull out of that
Ooh, is it gold?
A golden nugget.
Yes, golden nugget.
If the community does not exist, create it. And start rallying people around you.
Yep.
And create the goals for the community. If they're your goals, great. Get everybody behind. There's a lot of people. One person signs up for a race, and then 5 other people are like, you know what? Since you're going, I think I will go.
Yep.
So if you don't have a community right now, don't worry about it. Start one.
Yeah.
We just use like an online Facebook group with the hop cycling community, and it turns out it's pretty funny sometimes, actually, the posts that go on in there. But there is a lot of accountability just having people post about how awesome the workout was, or this is what I ate after. So you don't just get accountability on the workout, you get accountability on your post nutrition and things like that. So communities turn into way more accountability than you would ever really expect.
And that kind of running full circle here, that accountability helps breed more and more consistency in all facets. So the more accountable you are, the more consistent you're going to be.
Yep.
Having the goals helps you with your motivation. The more motivated you are, the more consistent you're going to be. So all of these things kind of tie back to how can you maximize your consistency and your quality. I mean, once you're consistent, you want to be doing the right stuff. If you're a cyclist, consistently running is not going to be totally ideal for cycling. So you also want quality, and you want stuff that's going to help you improve your limiters and your efficiency and all that stuff. But that consistency is just so huge.
Absolutely. Last little tips. Throw in some last little tips.
Uh-oh. Did I prep for these? Let me see.
I don't know.
They're on the board. Okay.
So 1, make sure you have the proper cold weather gear.
Oh, yeah. We didn't even dive into that, did we?
No, but that's huge, because if you don't have the proper gear, you now have an excuse not to go train outside, especially if you don't have a trainer indoor capabilities. So make sure you have the right cold weather gear, and work on layering. That's the huge thing. You can have the gear, but if you put it on or put too much on, you're going to be miserable when you sweat.
You should feel cold like that first 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
If you roll out the door and you're like, yeah, I'm comfy. By the time that engine revs up a little bit, you are going to be hot and sweaty, and then the most hyponatremic, it had to have been hyponatremia that I've ever been, was on a winter ride where I wore 2 jackets because it was cold, and I got home and couldn't hold down fluids, was puking, splitting headache. I just laid in a chair. I was like, The rest of the day was 6 p.m. before I could hold any fluids down. I was dumb and didn't go to the hospital, but
not good. So make sure you have the cold weather gear. Other thing is as far as motivation goes, to get in some good training, try new things. Like, if you're a runner, try different distances.
Yeah.
If you're used to training for marathons, do 5K or 10K, or
if you only train on the road, try getting off road.
Yeah, go trail. Get on the trails and change it up.
Do new routes. New routes is always huge too.
Cyclists, you can go, try cyclocross. If you're a road racer, try, do some, ride some gravel if you have the capability to do that. Get in the trails again. Just change up the discipline. I mean, I always end up riding my mountain bike a whole lot more in the winter than during the season. It's just because it's changing it up, and you're still getting in a great training load.
Yeah.
But you're just doing something that's a little bit less specific to your races. That's fine, you know, in the winter.
And the slower speeds on a mountain bike at the similar intensity levels helps on those folks that deal with super cold weather. Warmer. Yeah, it definitely helps keep you warmer, relatively speaking. If you have questions on how we layer or things we use, feel free to comment or shoot us
we could do a whole episode on layering.
I could tell you exactly how my feet and hands are the big ones, but we can what temperature do you ride or run in? And we can give you some tips on how we personally layer. Every person's different on that, on your tolerances for hot and cold. Like me personally, I cannot wear stuff on my head besides a helmet. If I put, it has to be really cold for me to wear a hat or something. Oh man, I can't do. I get so overheated that it'll be 20 degrees and I'll cover my face, but it's got to be really cold for me to cover my head. Not my dome. But then there's some people on our team that they'll have the ear things on when it's 70 degrees out.
Yeah. Well. Oh, that brings us to our last tip.
Oh, the last tip. Sometimes you just got to, for those that are just listening to this on the podcast, we put HTFU on there.
Sometimes you just got to HTFU.
Harden the heck up, right?
The expletive.
We
don't want to get an explicit rating.
No, we don't want that. But sometimes you do that. Just have to toughen it up.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to.
And again, it goes back to that. You want to sleep in that extra 30 minutes because it feels so good at the time, but I guarantee you, not blowing off that 3-hour ride, in the case of the cyclists, that it was going to be cold, and so you don't want to do it. But getting those in, it's just tough to replace those long efforts. Or even the people on that say, I hate the treadmill or I hate the trainer, I can't do it.
Suck it up.
HDFU, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to do it if you really are committed to achieving those goals, which if you've made it this far in the program, how far are we in?
We're too far.
Woo!
43 minutes.
Let me just keep talking.
No, Brian's going to shut up now.
If you made it this far, clearly you're dedicated, and so sometimes you just got to tell yourself to toughen up.
Yeah, you got to toughen up. All right. We appreciate you guys listening. If you want to listen to more episodes, you can check out our website, buildpeakcompete.com, or check us out on iTunes. We always appreciate any type of a positive rating. If you want to put a not-so-positive rating,
just message us.
You could send us an email first. At least tell us you're going to do it.
Send us a message with a thumbs down.
Yeah. All right. We're out of here.
Adios.
Adios.
Muchachos y muchachas.